And good evening, and welcome to another edition of Economically Empowering Our Communities. I am your co-host, Marcus Wallace. And as always, riding shotgun with me is my man, Mr. Socrates Garrett. How you doing today, Soc?
I'm doing fine. I always tell you that riding shotgun is one of the most dangerous positions on the stagecoach.
Well, again, in that case, we're riding double barrel shotgun. Man, I tell you, I am super elated today to have someone who I consider a brother, not just a friend, in the studio with us live, and also another gentleman that I met some years ago from doing business at their furniture store. Sock, this gentleman here really needs no introduction. He has truly been a community leader, a businessman here in the state of Mississippi. His family has been in business a long time, and I can tell you, I'm happy today to stand before our audience to really tell what type of brother and friend and community leader Oscar Miskelly has been. And Oscar, welcome, man. Again, thanks for coming today.
Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate the invitation. Excited to be here and hear about what's going on the We Believe podcast.
Absolutely. And Mr. Raymond Osborne, who has been with Miss Kelly for about 25 years or more.
Yes.
You can't forget that fade and that smile when you go in the furniture store. So I definitely remember Mr. Osborne. I think he was one of the ones that sold me that Tempur-Pedic mattress. And I tell you, I did not have a love for mattresses until you all explained to me and showed me. And man, I'm telling you, that's the best sleep I've gotten over the last 10 years.
It's about time for replacement there, Marcus.
I think so, yeah. Well, look here, I'm gonna have to save some coins because it's worth the price, but it costs now. But again, thanks for joining us. And of course, we've been doing this podcast for about 3 months now. And what we've tried to do, of course, Mr. Garrett and I, we've been in this business community for quite some time. Of course, he's been longer than I have, and I've kind of shadowed and watched him and some other businessmen over the years here in the community. But what we're trying to do here at this podcast, we're trying to bring some impactful guests. We're trying to bring create some diversity among our shows, because we are really interested in making Mississippi better. And the only way we're going to make Mississippi better, we are all going to have to come together collectively. So Oscar, today I wanted to bring you on to talk about, some of the things that, you all have done in the community. I can attest, I'm one that can attest what you've done in the African-American community. I told some folks last week, I can literally attest to you actually going right over there off of Bailey Avenue and, grabbing some kids. And I know one in particular stayed at your house a many day.
Yeah.
And so, that needs to be, our community really needs to know that. I can also attest that there have been some times where I've called you, just one in particular recently last year, where we had a young lady who had been in an abusive relationship and, found her way to the shelter. And she eventually got somewhere for her and her daughters to live. And I picked up the phone and called my friend. I said, Oscar, we need some furniture. And you told me to give you 48 hours and to just go to the loading dock to pick the latest furniture up. And that's been one of several times that you all have done that. So I just even want to plug for you and tell the folks, if you need some furniture, you go see Miss Kelly's Furniture, because they do a lot in the community.
You're kind, Marcus. I appreciate that. And we feel like we've been blessed to be a blessing. I think if you just hold it in, you're just a reservoir. We're supposed to be a place that comes in and goes out. And so we feel like the Lord has blessed our business in abundant ways, and we want to be a blessing back to the community, because without the community, without our customers, we don't have a business. So it's definitely a part of what we do. One of our core values is that we succeed together, and is that we're community involved, and we want to be help in the community in a way we can.
Absolutely. Well, before we get started, I know Mr. Garrett has some questions for you, and I do too. Oscar, kind of tell the audience a little bit about the Miss Kelly family. I think I got a chance to meet your dad one time, because we coached our boys in baseball, that's how Oscar and I became close.
Okay.
And Oscar was very instrumental on me becoming a board member on the Mississippi Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And I got a chance to meet some good guys, Johnny Ray and those guys, Governor Musgrove as well. But Oscar, tell the audience a little bit about the Miss Kelly family and the furniture company and all of that.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. We are from Oklahoma, Mississippi, up in North Mississippi, where there's a lot of furniture manufactured in North Mississippi. And as a matter of fact, furniture is one of the leading job producers in our state. The largest furniture plant in America and one of in the world is in Ecru, Mississippi, which is between Pontotoc and New Albany. And it's an Ashley furniture plant that we buy furniture from. And Lane Furniture, Homestretch Furniture, there's multiple furniture manufacturers in Northeast Mississippi. We grew up in the retail clothing business, Marcus. Our dad had a clothing store for 40 years, and he always advised us if we want to get into retail, we might want to think about something other than the clothing business, because he said it's hard to sell a pair of socks, pair of underwear, and make a living, particularly with all the big belt and McRae's back in the day. So we had seen furniture manufactured up there. So we said, me and my brother Chip had always wanted to go in business together. So we decided to come down to Jackson, which he was living here at the time. And I'd gone to law school down here for a couple of years. And we decided we wanted to go in the furniture business. So we went out Highway 80 out there in Pearl and found a spot that we could rent about 3,000 square feet and started in 1978. And we'll celebrate our 48th anniversary this coming October.
And that 3,000 square feet turned into, I think you just said, about 100 and.
Well, we got 120 in Pearl. Overall, we got about 500,000 square feet of retail across the state and looking to grow that. So we've been very blessed. Mississippi has been very good to us.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Garrett, I know you want to chime in a little bit.
I do. I have known the Miss Kellys for a mighty long time. I knew the father, had a chance to visit and talk with him. And so I know that the work that you guys do in the community, but our viewers don't know as much, Oscar. And so, I want to spend a little bit more time developing, the character, the how-tos and the high points and low points associated with being in business. So those business people out there can learn and give business people some advice and some encouragement, because I know every day has not been a sunny day.
Right.
And you brought Raymond along with you. And so I want to hear from Raymond to know what his story is. Our viewers want to know, what is your story? So Raymond, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, because I'm also from Oklahoma, and back in 1972 in typing class, Oscar and I was talking instead of typing. Therefore, I can't type today, nor can he. And so I asked him, I said, hey, how about checking with your parents? Ask your dad, does he need anybody to work at your store in the afternoon? I need a job. Mm-hmm. So Oscar returned to school the next day. And at that time, he told me to come up and introduce myself to his father. I did that. Got hired, and 54 years later, I'm still with the Miss Kellys.
54. I'm sorry, I said 25, 54. I'm sorry. Okay.
Furniture been 20.
That's right. Now,
okay.
Furniture, that is correct. So 50-50 there. 50% of it in retail clothing, the other 50 in furniture.
Well, it's all sales. My father was in the clothing business, but he said, if you're a good salesman, you can sell an Eskimo air conditioner. So it's all sales. Absolutely.
Now, Oscar, I know that you have a tremendous faith-based operation.
We do.
Tell us a little bit about your involvement with various pastors and churches and how that interacts in terms of your business philosophy.
Right. Well, we do. We are a faith-based company, and that's the most important attribute that we have, Socrates. The Lord is our head of our company. I'm the CEO, but he's the head of the company. And we grew up in that environment, grew up in a very faith-based Christian home, and always felt like if we treat people right, and we would always be able to be successful. I would tell somebody thinking about business or going into business, if you've got a good idea, it's got to be something that's going to work. But if you're willing to work at it and work not just on the business and in the business, but you will make it. Now, it took us a long time to begin to turn a profit, but if you're willing to stay with it and you treat people like you'd want to be treated yourself, you'll be able to be successful. So whatever it is, if you'll be an entrepreneur, you want to start your own business, you want to work somewhere for a while to earn enough money to have some seed money, I would recommend you do that as well. Whether it's a car washing business or a window washing business or a landscape business, there's plenty of opportunity out there in this community to make a living if that's what you want to do.
Now, 54 years ago, Raymond, times were a little bit different in Mississippi for African Americans, Black folks in particular. Having worked with the Miskellies for that long, I imagine you've seen some changes in terms of the business growth and also your involvement. How was it initially when you first started in terms of what do you think about current race relations in Mississippi, and how does all that impact your way of doing business?
Well, certainly there has been a change. And one thing that I appreciate, it's been a positive change. You know, over the years, the change has really been good for the state of Mississippi. And one of the things that I really enjoy is the coming together of the races.
Mm-hmm. I think that's important. I think if we could get more folk that share that philosophy that the races need to come together,
yes,
I think it would be better for business, but it'd be better for our community, et cetera. And so, Oscar, we hit kind of hard because Black businesses are not doing well in the state of Mississippi. And Marcus and I, have enjoyed some success. We've been blessed. And so it's time to give back, and it's time to reach out and say, if we could make a difference, if we can improve the quality of life for anybody, that we ought to do that. What has been your philosophy in terms of race relations, Oscar?
Yeah, for sure. I think back to 1970. I was in Oklahoma, and we had the Brown versus Board of Education in 1950 something. Well, it didn't really, I guess, hit Mississippi until 1970 when we had integrated schools. So we had the Fannie Carter School on one side of town, and we had Oklahoma High School on the other. Well, in December of 1970, we merged together, and it was a rare experience. It was kind of like Remember the Titans football program. It was an amazing time for us to come together because we didn't have any problems. We didn't have a lot of issues. I think it's because of some of the leadership in town. I tell this quick story. We had a really good football program there at Oklahoma, and then we integrated schools. Our first game was against Pontotoc High School, and they were really good high school. And we had a guy named Melvin Baldwin was our kickoff return man. So the very first game, first year Oklahoma football field there, he took the opening kickoff and went back 100 yards with it for a touchdown. And I looked at my buddy. I said, I think we're going to be okay here. And so it was, but it was still, the racial tension was still there. I would have, I love basketball. I played basketball. I was only, Raymond might tell you about, they called me the White Shadow because I was the only white guy on the basketball team. But I was a point guard. I was a white man, still couldn't jump too high, but I could shoot pretty good. But I knew who to get the ball to. There was times my dad had a clothing store in town, and we would come over to my house on the afternoon after school and play ball out in my driveway because I had a goal out there. And then some of the neighbors would call and complain and said, we're not going to come back and shop at your store if you let those black boys come and play in your yard like that. I mean, that was still an environment that was in a small town, Mississippi.
Yes.
And there was a lot to overcome through the years, and we saw a lot of things growing up. But it's people like Raymond and his family and people like that had a bigger vision for Oklahoma and for Mississippi. And we do too. And we think if we work together, it's going to be, a rising tide lifts all ships eventually. But it's not working as well for some as it is others. I understand that. And that's what we're here to talk about.
Right. Yeah,
well, one of the things I can truly say, I got to keep bragging on you, Oscar, because like I said, man, we really got some substance and some history together.
We do.
And one of the things that I can honestly say, man, I've seen your passion as it relates, to just not just looking at skin color, just man, just trying to make life better. We spent a lot of time with those boys, our sons, and a lot of the young boys from the neighborhoods and stuff. And man, I just always saw you all's passion. And I got a shout out to Miss Kelly, because I can just see now 10 years, 12 years back, 15 years back, the smile every time she came in the gym. She smiled and treated those boys just like they were her sons. And so, I can really appreciate that from you and some others in the community. But like Socrates said, that it's going to take folks like us on both sides to really make this thing happen. Now, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to check some of our previous shows out, but we got some numbers we want to share with you. And true enough, Mr. Osborne, things have changed, but man, we need to move this needle a whole lot more. And once you see those numbers that Mr. Garrett can share with you all, you'll understand why. And once he does that, Oscar, I want to get your take on what do you think it's going to take to make a better Mississippi for everybody.
I'd love to. And
okay.
I would just mention this too. That you mentioned playing ball together. I started coaching at the YMCA back with my son. It was over there off of Manhattan before they closed that one down.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a call the other day from one of the young men that I coached, and it was Justice Gibbs. Judge Gibbs' son is now one of the legislators. And Cedric played at Clinton High School. I call him Cornbread because of Cedric Maxwell. He played at quarterback at Mississippi State. So we had kids like that. But then there were a lot of kids like, the DeVilles of the world and Jordans of the world that we all know about that fell through the cracks. And so they didn't have the kind of support group that Gibbs had. And so those are the kids that we've got to figure out how to help.
Yep.
Because they're falling through the cracks. They're not getting the help, support they need at home. And we've got to figure out a way to be supportive of them so they don't end up in our correctional facilities.
Right. Well, man, I can tell you all of those guys that we kind of raised during that time, 80% of them are doing well. Daniel, all of them, man, they all are doing good. And I really think that we had a lot to do with that, because you got to spend quality time. It's just not about, pumping money and making sure they got the resource. You got to spend some quality time. You got to love them tough, and you got to reward them when they do well. And I think we did that. And like I said, we matter of fact, DJ Montgomery, DJ played in the NFL, but DJ is interested in construction. So I'm now helping him set his company up and everything. And it's just, like I said, looking back on all of those kids, man, most of them are doing well.
That's
doing well.
encouraging to hear.
Oh yeah. So you got those numbers. Let's share those numbers with Oscar and Mr. Osborne.
Yeah, I'll give you a little background on these numbers, Oscar. Once we start digging into trying to see, whether or not the African American business class was growing or not growing, then we started doing some research in terms of what the numbers actually say. And so we had the former Mayor Harvey Johnson on the show. We've had Mayor William Truly on the show. We've had Senator Robert Johnson on the show. And so we've had individuals here that have been talking about how we can improve the economic conditions in our community. And so, we realized that in the case of Senator Willie Simmons, who's now the commissioner on the highway department, we realized that his heart is in the right place, but these numbers don't seem to be moving. And Marcus will say the math is not mathing. And so whether you got a commitment for it, but yet we don't seem to be moving these numbers. Now, for example, in 2025, the state of Mississippi for contract expenditures spent $5,519,862,146 totally Of that, $5,297,794,939 went to white men, a 95.9%. Now that left $222 million to be spread in the rest of the citizens in the community that were non-white men. But Oscar and Raymond, white women received 181 million of the remaining 222 million went to firms that were owned by white women. That only left $40 million for African Americans, Asians, and Hispanics, etc. $40 million, or less than 1%, 0.73% for contract expenditures. And we looked at these numbers, and nobody seems to be satisfied with these numbers, but we don't seem to have an individual that knows how to change this, Raymond.
Mhm.
And so we want leaders in our community to acknowledge that we have an issue here, and then let's find a way to improve it. What's your thought on that, Raymond?
Yeah, I'm looking at the numbers now. One of the things that I would look at, when the contracts are awarded, what business, as African American, what we have in place, that would enable us to, to say get the bid. Do we have the right facilities, the right, equipment, everything, everything to go with to do it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You got to have capacity.
Exactly.
Right,
yes.
right. You certainly do have to have capacity. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, when you look at the population of Mississippi, I think it's probably around 60% white and 40-some% African American, and then the rest maybe 3 or 4% Hispanic. Would that be fair number there?
Yeah,
That's the numbers we have.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when you look at those numbers, then you look at the disparity, and that there is some inequity there, no doubt about it. I don't understand the bid process or how that's done or who's making those decisions, but no problem's going to get solved unless it's acknowledged first.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you guys are trying to do, to make that awareness out there. Like, why are these not in a more fair, distribution?
Right.
And I acknowledge that. And I don't know exactly the process, but I would acknowledge there's a problem that should be addressed through, legislature or through our, system that's in place now
Right.
that awards the contracts. You're familiar with that process. Both
Mhm.
of y'all in that
Oh, yeah.
business.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So what is the hindrance that y'all see?
So let me just say this. We looked at the numbers inside of the communities where African Americans are in control.
Mhm.
And Oscar, we have right at $1 billion that's flowing through our communities that's controlled by the city of Jackson, which has got a black mayor and 5 black council people. We looked at the airport authority, which was majority black. We looked at Hinds County, which had 5 black supervisors. We looked at Jackson Public Schools, and when we looked at what they spend, it's 20%, 1/5 as much as the state spends. You're talking about $1 billion, and the state did $5 billion. And the numbers there where African Americans are in charge don't fare much better. And so it's a tough issue that we got to deal with. But Marcus, I don't know what the solution is. I know that you and I said we got to bring it to the attention of everybody, but we certainly are going to have a way of improving the conditions here.
Absolutely. And I just want to add also, if we slide to the race part to the side, I just want to ask a question, Oscar. Like, for instance, when there are big developments in this surrounding area, let's just say hotels or wherever, do these leaders in the community ever put the furniture folks in the room and say, hey, we got these big furniture proposals or whatever that's coming up. What my point I'm trying to get to is that, not just from the African-American standpoint, we've got to do a better job supporting the local businesses. Socrates will tell you sometime I'll get on this thing of local, because I just, we talk about Atlanta all the time, but if you really know the story of Atlanta, Atlanta became successful because a mayor by the name of Maynard Jackson made sure that people understood if you came to Atlanta, you need to find somebody in Atlanta to do business with. And so, I just wanted to ask you, even from that standpoint, do you all get the consideration, respect, or whatever you want to call it, that when opportunities come up where there's a big component dealing with furniture in it, do you all get those calls, or do people reach out to you and make sure that you all know?
Not really. We do a little bit of commercial business. Sometimes the specifications on the commercial side are a little bit different than residential, so that may be a hindrance from our standpoint. We have done a good bit with Jackson State. Matter of fact, we just did working with Trey Johnson, who I think is going to do a great job over at Jackson State. We just did a job over there with him where we donated for his locker room redo, and then they purchased some things for their coach's office. But you need to get over there and check that out, because we really are proud of that. So we're able to do that. Ashley Robinson he's been a lot better to us than probably the ADs at Mississippi State or Ole Miss have. So, it's not like reciprocal. It's more like one-sided, and I understand that. But on the hotel side, because of the commercial specifications, we're not really involved on that. But we certainly believe in keeping everything local, because the money that's in the community stays in the community. When you look at the economic turnover and the economic benefit of that, it benefits everybody.
That's right. And you kind of answered, a little while ago, where you kind of made my point, because what I'm basically saying is, especially when you donate, like we have, all of us up here have, and again, one of my biggest problems is I think people should think like me sometime, but I'm just, if you donate and you give to the community, then you shouldn't have to pick up the phone. Your phone should be ringing. That's kind of how I look at things. And that's why I wanted to ask you that, because of course the African-American piece is one thing. And I've said, that's an uphill battle, but all I want to see is that 1% next year goes to 5%. The following year goes to 10%. We got to start somewhere, and it's like I said, it's just going to take all us pulling to make that happen.
It is. But making the awareness of what you guys are doing is certainly important, rather than just complaining about it on the side and not doing anything about it but complain. Nothing's going to get done that way, but awareness and a positive approach to it. Like, hey, we need help. If we're going to rise up out of our levels of economic situation, we're going to need help. We need a set aside to help with that. I'm not saying whether you need to be what was the minority
the EBO office, or
right. I don't know how all that DIE works and all DEI works, but if we don't give some help and give some opportunity, then we're not going to see any changes at all. We're all going to not benefit from that. I like to say, we're all in the same boat at the end of the day. In Jackson, our suburbs, we're all in the same boat. Somebody says, I'm not worried about Jackson. Well, I am, because I'm in the same boat as Jackson. And if you got a hole in your boat, end of your boat, we're all going to eventually sink.
That's right.
And so I want to help out any way I can, because this is our capital city, this is our state, and we need to be able to be proud of what we've done here. We've made a lot of strides, but we've got a long way to go.
And that's one of the things we really stress. We keep telling folks that the issues may be up here now, but it's trickling down, because guess what? If it doesn't eventually get better up top, we can't come by one of them Tempur-Pedics and recliners, man.
You're right.
Yep. So yeah, we like I said, we just I'm glad you're hitting it on that and bringing some diverse conversation with us, because I think both sides need some work. I do, and the only way we're gonna do that is we got to have some folks from both sides who really can bring this thing home. And I think definitely you are definitely one that's considered what I call a pine belt that can bridge some gaps to make that happen.
Well, Marcus, I agree with you. Oscar has been a leader in the community. And so when you promoted into that role, or when you are appointed or anointed, you can get there several different ways. And leadership, a lot is required of leadership. And so we know that the community is suffering. When I'm in these streets and in these communities, Raymond, and we do a lot of demolition work. And we are in the community, and I see a lot of 8, 9, 10-year-old boys walking the streets, sometimes carrying AK-47s, walking the street. And so, and we know that there is no future for that. We know that, that's a situation that we got to get under control. Jackson suffers from a high crime. And here recently, we've had some incidents of crime that takes us back some years. Noah Wells guy, we're still dealing with that, trying to see exactly what's going on there. We're talking about, we had recently had a 1-year-old that was shot and killed here in Jackson in a home invasion. And then we had the crime up in Senatobia. Well, that is going on. So, Oscar, I don't know if we aren't slipping backwards in many ways when it comes to, quality of life, or where people are coming from and what they were doing. When we came up as boys, when I left home in the morning, Mama said, "I don't want to see you no more till the end, till dark. Don't you come back in this house." And I couldn't even come back in the house. She wasn't worried about where I was going and what I was doing and things of that nature. So we got a different situation out here now.
Well, and Socrates, a lot of it starts with education, and we've got to do a better job from that standpoint. These kids are not in school. And where's accountability there? I was reading a biography recently about Alan Page. Alan was one of the Purple People leaders back with the Minnesota Vikings back in the day. And Alan studied to get his law degree while he was playing for the Vikings, and ended up going on the Minnesota Supreme Court. Him and Carl Eller played side by side. They were 9-time All-Pros there with the Purple People leaders. But Alan, he had to go across town when he was young, growing up in Minnesota, to get to a better school. So is school choice an option? I know that's been an issue that's been talked about. Can a kid that's, going to an inner city school that the mom doesn't feel like he's getting right education, take that $8,000 and go to a Pearl or Brandon or Clinton school? I mean, something's got to change. What we're doing is not working. I'm not against the public schools. I'm for public schools. I went to a public school. But on the failing schools, these kids are not given a chance to come up and raise themselves up by their bootstraps. So I don't know if that's something that would help in some of these situations.
You bring up an interesting point now, and I will point you to Nashville, Tennessee, Montgomery, Alabama. These cities are really booming. Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah.
These cities are moving. And what are they doing different than what we're doing down here in Mississippi, in Jackson in particular? Nashville and Huntsville is as hot an economy as you can get.
Yep.
And look at Little Rock. That was in the shape Jackson was there for a long time. And now it's a booming city. So there's been examples. Chattanooga was a tired old city, but they've turned it around. And so there's opportunities, there's situations that have been turned around like that. And can we do that? Well, I say everything rises and falls with leadership. So we failed in the white community to have the right leadership in place. And I appreciate you guys as leaders in the African American community wanting to rise up and make a difference. You know, I know there's Bishop, there's a list of people out there who are wanting to see Jackson improve, and we've got to work together. I know I go to our Unite Mississippi events that we have once a month at the Ag Museum, where blacks and whites are coming together to talk about how we can improve our community. So to me, it starts with a faith-based approach. You know, and we can't change someone's, behavior until we change their heart. So we've got to do a better job in our churches, and a lot of that starts in the home, in the single-parent homes, and the latchkey kids situation is just not working for us anymore. These kids don't have a chance, and so I'm a big advocate of that. How can we help from the youngest? Because once these kids get older, sometimes
Wow,
it's not a lot we can do.
We're up against a commercial break. We're going to go to commercial break, and we're going to switch out engineers during the break. I want to thank Rosalind for standing in for us. She's done an amazing job, and we're going to go to break. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Socrates Garrett ENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. Socrates Garrett ENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into M.Dot grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. By using Socrates Garrett ENT.com's crushed concrete products, anyone from homeowners to general contractors can help reduce landfilled concrete waste, conserve natural resources, and gain significant economic savings on materials and disposal costs. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.
And we're back. And we want to say to our viewers out there all over the world, thank you for watching. If you're watching us on Facebook, share this program with your friends and family. Send us stars, hit the notification bell so that you won't miss this kind of content. This content you won't find anywhere else on any other platform in the state of Mississippi. You'll get a earful of my friend Kim Wade over on WYAB. Him and Clay Edwards, they tearing it up each and every day. We try to bring a positive outlook as to what's going on in our communities, even though we have to raise issues about the economic disparities that are here, and poverty runs rampant in our city. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, share this program with your friends and family, hit the notification bell. We want to grow that channel. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitch. So you can find us anywhere you get your streaming service from. Now, today we've had the pleasure of having our guest with us, a CEO. You know, one of the problems in Mississippi is we don't have many CEOs, many home-based companies. When I'm in Houston, Texas, and we go to a meeting there are 50 CEOs in the room of some of the largest corporations in the world. And that brain trust, and they give back, and they discuss, and they come on shows like this, and they demonstrate leadership. In Mississippi, we don't have that many. And so we are trying to fix this plane as we fly it. So our guest, Oscar Miskelly, is a pioneer. He's a leader in the community. He is Caucasian. He's one of these guys that has stayed in Mississippi, started his business, and worked and done extremely well, and has well over 100,000. Oscar, did you say 100 or 500?
We get about 500 square feet of retail and about 250,000 of warehouse.
So 500,000 square feet of retail, 250,000 square feet of warehouse space right here in Mississippi. And so we got to have these individuals that have enjoyed success, worked hard, nobody gives you anything. And if you're successful in Mississippi, I believe you could have been president of the United States had you been born in Connecticut. And so, because it's just harder down south, because we have so much poverty and things to deal with. So, for you to be able to achieve things like this, Oscar, is a testament to the Miskelly family.
Yes, sir.
And the fact that you give back is a testament that you care about this community. And we're grateful to have you on the show today. Marcus?
Please, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Well, what do you think? You think we're going to make a difference here? You think we're going to?
Absolutely.
You were able to get Oscar to come on the show, and I know that you're looking to bring diversity, to bring people and our guests here that come from different backgrounds with different walks of life to share with our viewers.
Well, I absolutely believe that because over my last 20 something years, from business to community, I've had some real good friends who have turned into brothers and family. And, again, like I said, I know that in order for us to turn this thing around in the state of Mississippi, it's going to have to be a diverse group of us. I always say the saying that racism is not birthed in us, is taught. And I think some of us from both sides can attest that we're simply tired of all of that. I think the Lord is tired. I think if the Lord could change the color from black and white, he would make everybody neutral. Because I don't see how anybody now cannot see that it's about survival right now. Ever since COVID, a lot of folks have not been concerned with color. People have really like, I had to catch a Uber ride today to go pick up a car, and it was a Caucasian lady driving the Uber. She looks like she could be a school teacher or whatever, just trying to make some extra money. And she said, she was sitting out front waiting on me. She said, "I'm fine. Take your time." She said, "Whenever I have to wait," she said, "I read devotions." She said, "And usually I have to read devotions after every run." She said, "Because it seemed like so many people going through so much." And she had just picked up a young lady, single mom, did not have transportation, and was trying to change out a pair of shoes for one of her kids for school, getting ready for school. And she took her to, I think, up by North Park, and they didn't have the shoes, and they told her that they had them at the Mac Rays in Flowood, where the lady didn't really have Uber money to go from County Line to Flowood. And she saw the frustration on the lady's face, and she said, "Ma'am, we headed to Flowood." White lady driving, doing that for a African-American woman who's in need. And I still have faith and believe that we have a lot of us like that here in the community that can make change. So yes, to answer your question, Socrates, I definitely feel that way. And never have I called on Oscar did he not show up or come or produce. And I know he feels the same way about me. And both of our communities need to see stuff like that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think we may have talked late at night through text and everything, man. If I have the need or the urge to need somebody to talk to, Oscar has always been one I can text or whatever. So, and I really appreciate that. So yes, I do have hope that we can create this change here in the state of Mississippi.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know that who is your next guest you got lined up as well?
Well, we got some firepower guests. I think the congressman is coming on, and we got our friend Governor Musgrove that's coming, and I've served on the board with Governor Musgrove and Oscar and Johnny Ray, and like I said, a couple other good folks. So we got everybody I've called so far is willing to come on the show because I think everybody got the same heart of wanting to see Mississippi change.
Well, Governor Musgrove, I know he had a main part in that Nissan plant up there. And there's a lot of great jobs that African Americans and Caucasian have all enjoyed.
That's right.
High paying jobs from that. And I was just going to ask Raymond. Raymond grew up. How did you come up? How did you overcome the things to now make 6-figure salaries, Raymond? How did you overcome the disparity and the, whatever racism you face coming up? How did you overcome those things? How would you advise anyone listening today? Hopefully there's some young people listening that are parents that might give this advice to their kids.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I'd say stay positive. The main thing is maintaining a positive attitude at all times and don't give up. And, my faith and all that I was instilled in me as a child, to be faithful and have trust in God. And with that trust, God has just blessed me abundantly, through the business and at the same time, it has blessed me to bless others. And that's, to me, that's the joy of it all. I've been, being able to bless other people with my blessings.
Right. Speaking of jobs, Oscar, how many employees do y'all have at Miss Kelly?
Over 250 right now, Marcus. We went up to 350 during COVID because everybody was staying home. They weren't traveling. They weren't eating out.
Mm-hmm.
So they had all this money. They got home and said, we're not going anywhere. This old couch is ugly. It might be time for a new one. And our business was out the roof. We thought we were geniuses back then because it was just, we didn't even have to advertise. But obviously things come back to a normal level now, and it's easier to manage that way. But we've got about 250, and we're looking to expand. We want to continue to grow throughout the state. And so we've got some ideas for expansion that hopefully will be announced in the next few weeks about a new Muskelly location.
Okay. And as far as African Americans, what would you say the percentage of your your staff?
I would say over 50%.
Yes.
Our sales staff, it's 50%. Mm-hmm. Our customer base, we don't measure it black and white, but just by people coming in. Raymond, what would you say black to white as far as our customer base would be?
Probably there. We're about 50-50 there.
That's what
we really are. Yes, our customer base.
The African American community has been absolutely fabulous to us. Our, shopping, they have trust with us. We certainly don't want to break that. They know that we're involved in the community. That's important. So any business that is out there that I would just encourage, you've got to be involved in the community. You can't just be a taker. You got to be a giver.
That's right. That's right. And Socrates, speaking of on the sports side, I have to brag a little bit on us because I think over the last probably 15 years, man, we've through our AAU sports that we did, we garnered a lot of scholarships for kids. A lot of young men went to college free. That took a lot of money and a lot of traveling to these tournaments and everything. Matter of fact, I think I looked at our 9 or 10-year-old team, and all of those kids, we got I think we got 3 pros out of that team, and everybody got scholarships. So, to me, that's winning, when you look at that. So definitely community, the community part has been big. I think at one point we did baseball and basketball with Franklin and Marcus. So yeah, like I said, we got a little history. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate that. We played at Northeast Jackson when I first met Marcus and Marcus Jr. And let me tell you, when Marcus Jr. got a hold of the ball, you better watch out if you're driving an electric drive because you're liable to get hit. When he hit it went.
Yeah, he did well, man. And Marcus has gotten his master's now, and trying to enter into the grown man world, I would say, and doesn't have any kids. So I told him, as long as you don't have any babies, you'll be all right, until you get established. But man, I tell you, it's been fun, and again, thanks for all you've done in the community, and as far as coming on this show, don't hesitate to join us if you got something you want to talk about as it relates to community relations, even from a business standpoint, because it's even good for the community to hear, as Socrates said, a CEO homegrown from Mississippi. When you go to other cities, you see these big companies, but we can stick our chests out and say, hey, Miss Kelly is one of them,
Our community has been so good to us, and I'm proud of our community. We've had some flashpoints where this whole community could have blown up and there could have been riots all over the place. But I don't think that's what Dr. King wanted. He wanted nonviolent protests. And remember when that young man was run over and killed on that hotel right off I-20 a number of years ago, and I actually knew one of the kids that had grown up and was involved in that. He's serving time right now. I think he's on about a 45-year prison term. And that whole community over that, this whole community could have really been a problem. But the faith community came together, the pastors came together and settled things down. So we got to work together, because there's going to be times that's going to come up again. There's going to be situations that we're going to have to deal with. So we got to be together. We can't just get to know each other when those crises happen.
That's right.
So I appreciate what you guys do in leadership.
Amen.
And
Good.
we've got to do more and be more involved to protect our community, because like you said, the times are not getting better, they're getting harder in a lot of ways.
They are. Oscar, I gotta hit you with a controversial subject here. Data centers. We see people on both sides of that issue. Have you had a chance to look into it at all? And
Not really. I've just talked to people that worked out. I don't know, there's been some jobs provided, but that at the end of the day, there's not going to be a lot of jobs involved. They're mostly going to be, taking our power and our water resources, which Mississippi's got a lot of. Mississippi is blessed with a lot of resources from, water. Not like California and Arizona and Nevada. These states they don't have a water source really. But Mississippi is blessed with a lot of resources, but it's taking up a lot of those. And it looks real good right now because they're buying this land. So they can buy land pretty cheap in Mississippi. It's why they're here. But I've got concerns about, what's it going to look like down the road, because there's not going to be a lot of employment that they offer. It's all going to be more technology driven. So that's my concern. It looks good right now, but what's it going to look like in 10 years in terms of employment, and how much incentives were given to these people to come and build these monstrous facilities up in Canton and then for the Highland Colony Parkway, and now in Clinton, and also in Vicksburg now they're building.
And it's very important that leaders get business people like yourself and community people, citizens in the room to really hear these concerns. Because if I'm a community leader, a supervisor, or mayor, your concern being a CEO with 750,000 square feet of warehouse and retail space, your concern should matter somewhere, and so we just got to have more. We got to be more proactive in Mississippi than reacting to situations, and that's dealing with economics. That's dealing with crime, all of that. We seem to react after stuff happened as opposed to dealing with things proactive. And we should definitely be having those type of conversations to, understand your concern, because if you're concerned and you really get concerned, man, that would hurt for Miss Kelly to move 700,000 square feet to, right on the other side of, the Mississippi state line or whatever. So it's very important that we have those kind of conversations. Right. And I hope some of the leaders are listening at this show and really, take heed to that.
I agree.
Yep.
Well, it's been great. Our time has come and gone. We've spent an hour here visiting with Oscar Miskelly and Raymond. What's your last name?
Osborne.
Raymond Osborne, a guy that's been with the Miskelly family for 50 plus years, and is a testament that the company treats its employees right.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
And you got to have people that you believe in. If it's a good business, they won't experience high turnover. When you see a lot of turnover going on, there's something going on wrong. And so we appreciate, Oscar, who you are and what you've done and what your family has done.
Mhm.
And more importantly, we appreciate how you give back to this community.
Thank you. We
Yeah.
want to do that. We
Yes.
appreciate what this community's
Okay.
done for us, and we don't take that for granted. We love Jackson.
Good
Yes.
job. And I don't know if he's listening, but Chip, we missed you this time. We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you next time. Oscar did a good job handling representing the Miss Kellys, but we definitely want to get you on as well. And as always, good to see you all. Glad to have you all as friends. And Oscar, thank you for coming on. I think this was another impactful show. Coming from a person who has definitely earned the stripes in the community and, from a business standpoint. So, man, again, thank you all and Raymond,
Yes,
y'all for
very
coming.
welcome. Yes.
And I save up a few more coins. I'll try to update my Tempur-Pedic mattress, 'cause
Let us know, and let's stand shoulder to shoulder as leaders in this community and make us all better.
man, you got it. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
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 Yes.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Well,
it.
you heard it here on We Believe Digital. If you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or TikTok, look forward to the clips that we will be chopping this show up and bringing you the high points and highlights of this discussion as we go forward. So we want to thank you again for your viewership and your loyalty to this program. Y'all stay safe and good night.
Good night.
Right, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Good. Really is.
Yeah.
We go on that podcast place for streaming it.
Oh, you from Spotify for credits?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm adding all of them on there.
Okay.
Okay, I'll check that out.
All right.
Good to meet you.
Sir. Meet you once again.
Take care.
Mr. Osborne.
All
Miss
right.
Kelly.
Yes.
All right.
Good to see you.
Brother
again.
Marcus. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See him now.
Yeah, right.
He's the man.
Man,
He's the man.
I heard it. Okay.
Yeah.
You from Jackson?
Yes, sir.
Where you go to high school?
I went to high school too.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. Got a few basketball players come out there. And
Oh yeah.
Yes. That's for sure.
Devin, what was it? Devin Rip, I think he went off like somewhere in from like 2000 and stuff. Quite a few players come out there.
I've had a few of my friends, they ball players.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's good, but there's other ways to make it out. It's not like you working in the technology area, so
Absolutely.
it ain't just ball players we making recipients. I love it. There's
no, it's not
always-
just that though. It's music, it's
Oh, yeah,
engineering,
absolutely.
all of it. So, yeah.
we do a lot of stuff well, and we don't get credit for it.
Yep.
We bring legends.
You're right.
We do.
Thank you, son.
Again, that I did not miss that 6-figure remark too.
That's
That's the one I'm talking
Yes,
about.
sir. Yes.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Several of guys out there that,
We
that
gotta
do quite
do that.
well.
That's right. Yes. Yes. Right. Yes.
I'm my brother.
Okay,
That's
man.
your man.
Good talk.
Your Mark
very-
Jr.
I will. Okay.
Let me
Good
run
catch
out.
up. Okay.
All right.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Okay.
Okay.
See that?